Hey everyone, it's me. I wanted to do a update on my mom. So, I did go see her today. As I mentioned, I think previous videos, my mom, the last about 3 days, has been thinking she lives in Florida, thinking that people are alive who have been deceased with rather their friends or family, um, and even meeting people that she's never known but know of, but she's never met them in her life. So that's been really hard. I did ask them to check her for a UTI, which I am glad I showed up today because I found out through the nurse that they never checked her for a UTI. The nurse worked with her yesterday and saw no reason to. I explained to her, how she'd been kind of acting the last 3 days, and I felt like either she was getting worse or she had a UTI. That when I asked her, she did let me know that she was in pain when she went to the restroom. So the nurse was really nice, and she was gonna put in an order just to check to see if she had one. Also, we decided we were gonna start her on, I think it's some medicine. It's almost like cranberry juice. I think it is cranberry flavored. And it's just a preventative juice, is how she put it. So we are gonna start her on some of that. Also, my mom was complaining about her toe. Apparently, they don't have a podiatrist that comes and cuts nails. So the nurse does it when she gets time. So she was going to do that. Hopefully she remembers for me, because my mom was really crying about that earlier when I first got there. So when I first showed up today, my mom apparently remembered that I was supposed to come see her. I never told her what time that I was going to show up. People kept telling her that I was at work and that I was doing, different things, and I would be there. Anyways, so when I showed up, she was actually crying. Now, she wasn't being loud, but she was in tears, thinking that I wasn't showing up, that something happened to me. And, so when she saw me, she lit up and she was like, "Is that you? Is that really you?" Apparently she believes that people will show up to see their loved ones, but it's not really them. That is someone pretending to be them and look like them. So she was so excited to see me, and she grabbed me. And so when I first got there, I didn't take anything today. Usually I take her clothes or food or different things. It was just me, and she was very thankful for that. And she was very confused when I got there. She was telling me how she saw her aunt and uncle. She thought one of the guys was my husband. And she kept saying, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes, that's not my husband. He's at work." She was very, again, out of it because her aunt and uncle, obviously, at this point, have both passed away. She did seem to remember that her uncle had passed, but she did not remember that her aunt had passed. But her aunt hadn't passed. It hasn't been that long ago. So that explains why she probably doesn't remember. She told me that she had just found out her brother had passed away. And she knew at the time that her brother passed away. And it wasn't that long ago. It was just last year. So, again, I can understand how she sometimes does not remember that. Um, so, she was very confused in the beginning when I first got there. And it took some time. And then, so when she was still living at home, she had sundowners or sundowning, however you want to say it. And what was interesting is in the evening, which is very unusual, she became herself again. So, actually, and usually when I'm there to see her at the nursing home, it doesn't matter what time of day it is. But today, it did, she did get back together. Like, she did start understanding things, like, towards dinner time. And that was really interesting. She sounded a lot more like my mom again. Really puts it, not 100%, but she did sound a lot more like herself and more with it. Like, we went through her photo album, which, there I go, guys. You know how I am. Which is kind of funny because with the photo album, she could tell me who people were today. Which a lot of times, if you remember, we go through it and she doesn't know. She knows who I am, she knows who she is, and her mom and dad. Today she was more on top of it. She had trouble with my brother, and I'm trying to think who else she had trouble with. Some of her grandchildren, but she knew who everybody else in the book was today, which was great. And so, yeah, I ordered her some dinner. I ended up ordering her IHOP and having it delivered. And I thought I got the pancakes, and I ended up, it was the eggs, hash browns, and toast, which was fine, and orange juice. She just always liked their pancakes. Actually, her favorite pancakes were McDonald's. She has always loved McDonald's pancakes. And then it was funny because the one lady looked at me and she goes, "Should I give her dinner still?" And I'm like, yeah, I think she'll still eat. So they did give her dinner, and when I was still there, she did eat some of it. I don't know. I don't have a feeling she ate all of her dinner, but that's okay. I did get to see her roommate. She is still there. Because on the phone, my mom keeps telling me how she's alone in that building. And just, things like that. And so, while I was talking to the nurse, her roommate came up to say hi. And actually, the nurse scolded her. A lot of people seem to scold this lady. And I'm not sure why she's in a nursing home. But apparently they believe she doesn't have any boundaries or understanding, because the nurse got mad at her because she came up and was going to interrupt our conversation to say hi to me. And so the nurse scolded her for that. It didn't bother me. I mean, but apparently it bothers them. And I understand boundaries, but again, I have kids. Like, I'm used to people interrupting me. So that was towards the evening, my mom kind of was on top of things. She wanted me to tell my husband thank you from the bottom of her heart, for like bringing me down or picking me up. When I first got there, it was kind of sad because she was crying hysterically, and she basically said, "I'm gonna finish myself off." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, I just can't do this. Like, I don't want to suffer like this. And I want to be gone before my kids, especially before you. Because, she just, and I know like, my mom has always adored me. You know, of course, I'm the baby. I mean, it's not, she loves my brother, don't get me wrong, guys. She adores him, but, I've always been, it's always been she and, I together, and we've done everything together, like, we're, always been best friends. So yeah, so she's like, I just can't, like, I need to be gone by the time I'm like, I think she said 90. Of course, she keeps thinking she's 90. Now, she did remember today that she, is 78 years old, so that was good. I did remind her yesterday, but she didn't remember talking to me. She's like, what are you talking about? I haven't talked to you for 6 days. I said, Mom, I call you every single day. I promise you. We talk every single day. I said, sometimes you don't remember who I am, which is fine. I said, I enjoy our talks. And so she's like, there's something wrong with me. She's like, there's something wrong with my brain. And of course, I don't have the heart to be like, oh yeah, you have dementia. Because I don't want to say that was one of her biggest fears, but it kind of was. So, telling a person that they have dementia is like telling a blind person, look at this. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to change anything. So, I said, well, you got to remember you had a stroke, which messes with your mind. And she said, but doesn't it ever go away? And then I kind of looked at her like, I don't know what else to say. And thankfully, then we kind of moved on. So yeah, and then she was telling me how rough the people on a plane were to her, and she thought they were going to break her arm putting it behind her. So I did take off her jacket and took a look at her arms. There are some of the like purple red bruises. And of course, she has paper skin, paper thin skin at this point. So I do check every time I go, because no matter how good of a nursing home there is, you need to always be vigilant of your loved ones, especially when they can't take up for themselves or always tell you what's going on. And so regardless of anything, I would always check pull your loved one's sleeves up, look under them. Definitely I would check it out. Regardless of how much you're paying or how good the place reputation is. And then her roommate did say, she said, well, she's been talking in her sleep, like she'll wake up, I guess, maybe in the middle of the night, and she'll talk to herself, she says. And then it keeps the roommate awake, because she goes to bed late. Also, of course I had to go say hi to her roommate, because I absolutely love her roommate. So then she was saying, yeah, she said, some of the workers can be pretty mean, And of course, her roommate is more, like, her mind seems to be there more, and she just, sees more. So, but my mom, there was times that she, and so people get frustrated. She told me that they were going to kick her out of their program because sometimes she told me this, and I don't know if it's true, but sometimes she says she wets her bed because she forgets to go to the bathroom, like that she needs to go to the bathroom. And and there's different things she can't do for herself or feels like she's getting worse. And so she thinks they're going to kick her out of their program. And I'm like, no, honey, that's what they're here for. There's a lot of people that are worse off than that. So they're not kicking you out, I promise. But I think, me being there really helped her a little more today and feel better. That I'm still around. One thing she kept asking me, which was really funny, is about my plane, me being on the plane, and when I came from the other country, and I'm like, what other country? I'm like, we're in North America, honey. So then she kept saying this, like she thought I was from or I came from a different country. And I finally would go, Mom, what country do you think we're in? Then she finally would go, in America, the United States of America. And I'm like, okay. Well, I haven't been on an airplane. I don't live that far from the nursing home. It seems like it, but I don't. And if I could go down more than once a week, I would. Definitely. And so that was kind of my visit. But like I said, towards the end, she sounded more like herself, and it was wonderful to see and hear my mom. She didn't, I can't say she didn't cry when I left, but, she seemed, I said, okay, I said, my husband's here. I have to get going. I said, but I will talk to you tomorrow, like I always do. And she cried. I mean, like, she did cry earlier. And then she's like, it's not the same talking to you on the phone as is having you here with me or seeing you. She's like, that's like saying my finger is a toe. And my finger is not a toe, it's a finger. And I'm like, okay, well, that was actually, definitely sounded like my mom right there. And then she seemed to understand she understood what she was saying. So, so it was nice to see that there's something of her still in there, at times. And so then, my husband came and picked me up, and we did go to just a quick fast food dinner and sat and talked. And, so now if you hear snoring in the background, he's asleep. He's had a really long day. But, so that was my visit with my mom. It was very nice. And there wasn't too many people in the area of the nursing home. Now, she did keep getting confused about where she lived. And, I kept telling her, I'm like, your room is behind you. You have a bed in there. And, she really couldn't understand that. She had no recall that she had a bed there or that's where she lived, So I will take what I can, and today was a good visit, definitely. So I will see her again. My plan is next week, unless something happens by then. But hopefully there's not. Her health is great from what I understand. I haven't heard any different, at least. Let's put it that way. Anyway, so there's our weekly update for this week, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening. Bye.